Welcome to ATG's Client Spotlight, where we interview clients who are leading in the cannabis industry. We take pride in learning about our clients' experiences while working with us and how they've grown with our equipment. Today, we sat down with Ryan Still, Director of Operations at Curaleaf Holdings' Portland office. We discussed in depth his experience with ATG equipment, how they run their operations, the number of employees that make up their team, daily production outputs, and so much more. In the United States, Curaleaf currently operates in 23 states with 107 dispensaries, 23 cultivation sites, and more than 30 processing sites, employing over 5,000 team members. So here's what he had to say. Great. Okay, well, first, we noticed on LinkedIn that you actually got the role of Director of Operations in February, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, not even 6 months.
Yeah, so maybe just sharing how you're liking the role at Curaleaf.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of prepping for a director of ops role for a while. It was part of my professional development plan, and spent the last several years in maintenance and engineering, and before that, kind of a more pure ops role, and then CI, QA. So I've dabbled. I've done all the ops, wearing a lot of hats, and so I was kind of just ready for it. And then this position came open. A guy I used to work with, kind of kept in contact with. He was the old director of ops in Oregon. They were opening a director position in Arizona, and his wife's freshly retired. They wanted to go somewhere warmer and less rainy. So he took that position. They moved down to Arizona, and he had recommended me to backfill his position. Before that, I've never been in cannabis. I've been in food and beverage, so made a lot of soup, a lot of soy milk, chicken broth, that kind of stuff. My last stint, I was at Brew Doctor Kombucha, so I was making kombucha for about a year and a half, working in the brewery, running their maintenance and engineering program. So that was pretty cool. Good company. They're just this was the right opportunity at the right time, so I jumped on it.
Amazing. So obviously Curaleaf has dozens of facilities across over 20 states, employing over 5,000 team members. So if you could just share where you're working and what your team sort of looks like right now.
Sure, yeah. So I'm responsible, everything, at least in the US, I'm not sure if it's legislated this way in Canada, but you're either in cultivation, you're in wholesale, which is kind of like the processing, packaging, redistribution kind of thing, part of the business, or there's retail, right? And so, obviously Curaleaf's pretty big. We're vertically integrated. We have farms all over the place. We have retail shops all over the place. I'm responsible for all of wholesale in Oregon. So I have, I don't know how many people we have on our team right now. Actually, we've been growing pretty quick. I think we're around 75 people on my team. And I have a supply chain group, and they're responsible for going out and finding the biomass, finding flour, finding oil on the open market, bringing it in, getting it vetted, tested, making sure it passes our quality specs and potency standards. And then we intake it. I have a lab and processing team. So we have an analytical chemist. We actually just hired a second. So we have a whole lab that does, testing on everything that's coming in, making sure we don't deal with pesticides, and, we have an idea of what potency is, the general quality, things like that, making sure that what the farm or wherever we got it from says it is, that it matches what we think it is. From there, we'll process it. We run different kinds of extraction techniques. We are currently building a kitchen, so we do gummies, we do tinctures, we do a new product called Squeeze. It's kind of like a Mio, but with THC. It's pretty good. I like to make cocktails with it myself. It's not so bad. And then. And so that's kind of the lab processing side. They also do all the formulation there. That's kind of the secret sauce. They do all the blending. So most of our product is oil. Out of Oregon, I want to say about 90+% of what we sell is vape cartridges. So we have a formulation team, actually freshly promoted formulations manager. So she's growing her team. Yeah, she's responsible for kind of blending it so that it's, aligns with the strain that it's being sold as. And, all the compliance pieces are there. And then once all that's set, we have a large warehouse, a little closer into the heart of Portland. That's where my office is. And then we have all of the product come there. We have the whole packaging team that takes that product and fills it, labels it, boxes it, labels it again, puts another box, puts another label. It's like a Russian nesting doll kind of process. We deal with all the flour there too. So all the flour from our farm comes in there, and we trim it, get it looking all nice, hand trimmed. That's for our retail store. We normally end up with a little bit extra over the course of a few months, and we'll end up wholesaling that. We also end up with a bunch of trim left over, so that goes back to the processing area to be extracted. And besides that, we have packaging, we have warehousing, so we do all the warehousing for our whole area there. And then we have a whole kind of logistics warehouse fulfillment center. So the sales team, they actually sit right next to me. I have an office. They have a whole area, kind of a war room area. And they process what our customers need. They funnel it over to our fulfillment team, and the fulfillment team says, "Yeah, we got this. They pick the orders. They get it all manifested, all set to go, so we get it out to our customers." So kind of end to end, that's what my team is responsible for.
Great.
Good to know.
Well, honestly, that answered my next question, which was what products you guys were responsible for, but it sounds like you have a tap on it.
Mostly vape cartridges, but we kind of do a little bit of everything. We do a lot of vape cartridges, and then we do a little bit of everything else, I should say.
Nice. What kind of ATG equipment are you using?
Well, we have one ATG filler and capper. We have the 2-head filler. It's all pneumatically pressurized, heated jacketed vessel and heated lines. It's funny, when we first started out, we're like, yeah, 2 heads, look how fast we can go. Look at this, look at that. And there's something to be said for that. But what we found is that we were just building up a lot of whip. It goes so fast. And we mostly do 1 gram. So I know a lot of your customers kind of specialize in 0.5 grams. We mostly do 1 grams. And we were able to get 1 gram filling, even off both heads, down to between 2.5 and 3 seconds of cycle time.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty, we were pretty proud of that. So we were humming, but we were having to have like 3 to 4 people on that. And then we were just building up a bunch of whip that could not be further packaged. In Oregon in particular, we have just a ton of labeling requirements, ton of packaging requirements. Like everything needs a label. So the cartridge needs a label saying that's marijuana, and then it goes into a tube that's childproof, and then that gets a sticker, and that goes into a box. I mean, when I say it's like a Russian nesting doll, I really mean it's there's more packaging than anything rightfully needs. But that's the life we live. And so it's what we found is if we actually scale back a little bit and run 3 to 4 second cycle times on the filler and only run on 1 head, and with your team, we were able to do some new programming. We can do little patterns that we think is actually a little bit safer. We were able to maintain a really nice, steady 1-piece flow all the way through the line. And although it slows down what we can do on the filling and capping side, at the end of every day, we don't have a bunch of whip, and we're getting more finished units out the other end.
Nice. Well, it's great to hear that you guys are doing what's best for your production, and you still have some room, to speed up even with only 1 machine. So you mentioned your team is about 75 people. I'm assuming they've enjoyed working with the RoboCap and things are running smoothly, and maybe it's benefited their production in their day-to-day jobs.
Yeah, our main filler operator is a guy named Hunter, and he was selected kind of at the beginning, like, hey, you up for a challenge? And there were definitely a few growing pains. Normally you guys would come down and help us, but we got this going, and it's still very much COVID times, and there's travel restrictions. So we had really good support from your team remotely, but we ended up learning a lot of stuff ourselves. And like I said, definitely some growing pains, but at this point, it feels very comfortable. We have a routine. We come in, we know how to. I think the first time we ever cleaned the equipment, the entire clean and changeover took the better part of 2 hours, and now it takes like 20 minutes.
Wow, that's
so
really
yeah.
production?
Yeah, our waste, I think when we first started, was probably around 6%, which for us is a lot. I know most of our other plants actually run kind of a 5 to 6% waste on their runs. We typically have like 2.5 to 3%.
Wow.
And so again, after several months of using this and dialing it in, most of our runs on the ATG are now around 2%.
Nice.
So
nice. Would you say that there was maybe some positive ROI after purchasing the RoboCap then?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I really didn't need to be sold on the concept. I come from very highly automated industries. So I'm used to people manning the machines, doing little maintenance, setting up, tearing down, cleaning, changeovers, that kind of stuff, doing quality checks, safety checks all day long. But it's not like they're sitting there with a hand crank. I'm not used to. So when I first walked in, I was like, wow, this is really manual. There's got to be a better way. And so I started doing some research. I reached out to a few different companies. You guys were one of them. I talked to Mike. I think I heard about you actually through Jupiter. I was like, what's the cartridge we use? Jupiter. All right. Who do they recommend? They only had like 2 guys that they recommend. You were one of them. So I called up Mike and kind of got that conversation going. I was like, we need to get something here. Otherwise, we're going to get our butts kicked come summertime. So.
Yeah, well, Mike Pye, he's our general sales manager. He said nothing but great things about you and the Curaleaf team. How do you think kind of the sales process went when you reached out to us? Did you find it like streamlined? Was it fairly simple?
Yeah, so I mean, I have quite a bit of experience bringing in new equipment. I'm used to actually much like I said, highly automated industry. I'm used to much bigger, much more expensive equipment. I think the last install I did was a Guy filler. I don't know if you've heard of Guy, GAI. It's an Italian company. They make bottling equipment. If you go to most any winery, they're going to probably have a Guy filler. A lot of breweries do as well. And these are fillers that cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, depending on the one you get. And then they're, again, very, very highly. So I was like, all right, let's get the conversation going. Mike was great to work with, really knowledgeable. And at the end of the day, the thing I always look for is a partner. Like, hopefully you're going to work with somebody long term. You might do some iterations, share best practices, share ideas, and then you got to be able to lean on each other. And so I found that pretty quickly with Mike. Some of the other guys I was calling, they called back, or they would, and they had these really unreasonable requests, and it was odd. And from what I had gathered, it's actually that's kind of the status quo in the industry is like there's a little bit of this for some reason, and I'm not really used to that. And I felt talking to Mike, it was a much more healthy kind of conversation, a more healthy kind of relationship to be had. So so far it's been great. Hopefully, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our entire team is nothing but happy working with you guys, and we hope to continue working together and doing even more stuff like this on the marketing side, research side, getting feedback from your team going forward. So if you guys are willing to do it, we are too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think we've already gone back and forth on some different just ideas, like what can we do to improve some little things to streamline, particularly with the capper. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know you mentioned you got our equipment during COVID, so obviously there was restrictions, we couldn't come. But how did you feel about our sort of online resources and your relationship with still talking with our team and getting your production up and running?
Yeah, I mean, the videos were helpful, right? Before we even started running it, we all sat down and watched a couple of videos. The user manuals were pretty friendly. I think the videos were probably the best resource before we started using it. And then once we kind of put it all together and we started using it, we had several calls. So we would stop the production line and we would bring in the operators that were using it. And Mike and I'm trying to remember the young engineer's name on your team.
Siraj or Nick?
It was Nick. Yeah. And Mike and Nick, they'd carve out whole sections of their day every couple days, and we'd sit down with my team and your guys' team, and we'd share pain points and say, hey, what about this? And And most of it was like, yeah, do this, yeah, do that. Let's get back to you. And so we were able to figure stuff out on our own, but we had like kind of a safety net there. I think, especially the first couple weeks, anytime you're commissioning equipment, it can be frustrating. I was always trying to tell my team, you're going to feel frustrated. There's going to be times where you're like, why are we doing this? Let's not do it. I said, we got to keep our heads up, keep writing down questions. And I remember the first meeting in particular, the team went into that meeting feeling very beaten up, feeling very frustrated. Our waste was up way more than they're used to. Our production was up, but not what they were hoping it would be. And I'm like, it's really early in the process. We're okay. And they're just, like I said, kind of hanging their heads and feeling really frustrated with the equipment and the whole process. And they left that meeting. It was only like, I don't know, a 20 or 30 minute meeting. And they left that meeting like, all right, we know what we need to do. Let's go. And they started implementing those things. They're like, oh my God, it worked. Can you believe it? And so, every time we'd have another meeting, although there would still be frustrations, it wasn't like the same kind of like, oh, I just got punched in the gut, hopelessness kind of thing. It's like, all right, we're going to leave this meeting with some like actual concrete solutions that we can implement right away that'll make life easier. So, and that's not to say there aren't, still little hiccups, still little bugs, things that we're learning at, but the results, the numbers just kind of speak for themselves.
Nice, good to hear.
Yeah, that is good to hear. We're like super, we put a lot of emphasis on our customer support. So just hearing that you enjoyed chatting with them and found the resources useful is really great to hear. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like everybody can offer a product. Anybody can make a filler, and some, like for CMMS, which is like a computerized maintenance system, anybody can make a maintenance system that you can like track assets and work orders and preventative maintenance schedules and stuff. So whatever your company is doing, anybody can do that thing. And some people do it a little better, some people do it a little worse, but like in general, like the thing that I always found separates like really good companies that these things are is that customer support piece. Like how do they follow up? How do they listen to their customers? How do they improve on the systems that they're using? I think you guys do a nice job of it.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We'll pass along the compliment to the sales and to the tech support team.
Yeah.
Well, please.
So kind of looking into the future, how do you see Curaleaf and the production developing? Are there any new developments that consumers could be excited about or we could expect to see?
Yes.
Yeah. Got to keep it maybe a little low key.
So, I mean, I'll use this opportunity to plug a little bit, I guess.
Absolutely.
So before I started, about 6 months ago, our demand and actual production output was a little less than 5,000 a day. Now, if we get under 10,000, I'm like, what happened? Like and by the end of the summer, we're going to be regularly hitting 15 to 20, just depending on our SKU mix. So right off that, at least in Oregon, that gives us an incredible advantage to just overwhelm our competition. When we start dealing at that level of scale, there's so much more absorption of our overhead that our units are able to be sold for cheaper, and we're still able to make a profit. We have some competitors in the area that every now and then will undercut us, and they lose margin. They lose money when they do that. They're just doing it to like try to buy back market share. It's nice to be able to buy all the market share you want and be profitable, not have to like, take one in the gut just for the sake of competition. So that's nice. I think it's really nice that we're now at a place where we're able to meet customer demand consistently. There were other times where we haven't been historically, where customers would want something. We're like, oh, sorry, we don't have enough. That's not a good place to be. Like, all right, well, if you can't put something on a shelf, we'll find somebody else that can. And just the nature of the business is that everybody's trying to figure out how to make things in mass. And it seems like we're the only one that's actually able to do that right now. And we have a path to do it more. So that's all really exciting. Because we're able to do that, we're starting to take on some new kinds of products. So because we now have the line time to do it. There's some stuff that other states are doing that we're not, that we're now able to bring in. And all in all, Oregon has a really, really good team. Select actually started as a brand in Portland. So our plant is where it started. Well, started a little plant down the road, but it's this team. So we have some people that have been with the company basically since the beginning, and they're really, really competent, and always excited to try new things. So we're going to flagship a number of new concepts. Some of them are business ideas, and some of them are products that our customers and our consumers are going to get to try. So I mentioned squeeze. I can't get into too much detail, but we're going to be coming out with more squeeze. We might be having some more potent squeeze coming on the market, some new flavors. Right now we have watermelon, lemon lime, strawberry lemonade, so 3 kind of similar fruit flavors, and then a semi-sweet or hint of sweet. I always forget what marketing ended up going with, but that's the one I actually like. It's like a simple syrup, makes a great old-fashioned. But not that I can actually market that way, but that's what I use it for. So the squeeze, we're coming out with some, we're looking at new potency. So having like squeeze that hits a little bit harder. We have some nano gummies. So we're looking at how can we take that nanotechnology and have a nano subset of squeeze. So it hits a little bit faster. It's a little bit more like a smoking high. And then, yes, some other flavors. So we're looking at maybe some more savory flavors, like something you might put in your coffee.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll wait for some of that stuff to be published, but we'll be doing the nano gummies in Portland here in just the next few months. We're really excited about that. Gummies is the first way I ever consumed cannabis, so I'm personally excited to try kind of a new iteration. And then we are going to be launching something called Essentials probably within the next month or two. And it's going to be, we're still figuring out exactly what it looks like, but the idea is that it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit lower potency vape cartridge. So just something just a little bit more mellow, a little bit lighter. Some of these high potency, 85 to 95% THC. It's like, some people really want that, but especially in the Oregon market, we're also like a big beer market, right? And I spent a lot of time with a lot of brewers, very much in the beer industry, and people aren't always just looking at like the alcohol percentage when they're looking at beer. They want the right hop balance. They might want something that's a little bit more mellow, something to go camping with, and that's kind of the idea behind this. It's just something a little bit more approachable.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, that one's called Essentials, and that one's definitely coming sooner rather than later. So we're excited about that.
Cool. We are excited to see whatever you guys bring to the market. We're big fans of what you guys do. I don't think we have any, maybe a little bit of stuff here in Canada of Curaleaf brands, but hopefully it gets here one day. We'll definitely be trying out everything.
Well, you guys just need to come for a visit, man.
Hey, we might take you up on that for sure.
Perfect.
Lastly, if there's any sort of feedback you want to give to us, we'd appreciate it. Positive, negative, anything you want to send our way, something we could let the sales team know or the tech support team know about?
Well, like I said, I think in general, the customer service has been really good. It's nice just being able to connect with somebody and feel heard. It's not always the case, I think, it would have been great to have some people here when we commissioned. Mike knows this. It just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
But, maybe another time. Besides that, I think I've really given, Mike feedback through the process, things that we'd like to physically see with the equipment. It has some pieces that are definitely interchangeable in there. I think there's some room for improvement on the technology, particularly on the capper. I've been very blunt that I'm not a huge fan of the capper design. I understand why it is what it is, and it makes a lot of sense with the little jig system. I think kind of capper 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever iteration we're on, whatever, 1 or 2 away, I think it might be more expensive, but I think it could be a lot more hands-off, safer, more robust. I'm excited to kind of see some of those ideas incorporated. I think it'll be cool.
For sure. Yeah, we'll definitely send along the message to our teams.
Oh, they know. We've been really transparent. Like we have not, shied away from having conversations with each other, which I think is how this works well.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, we want to be partners, right? We want to work together, and we're always open to recommendations, especially from brands and companies like Curaleaf that are so high level. You guys will help us grow as much as hopefully we can help you guys grow your production, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's always about finding the like I said, the right partners that are in it with you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just doesn't work well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, with that being said, we really appreciate you taking the time to get on a call with us. We would be more than happy to do this again. But yeah, we'll let you get back to your day and back to your little vacation. And thank you once again on behalf of the ATG team.
I really appreciate you guys being so flexible this afternoon. Thank you. And you guys need anything, shoot me an email, give me a call, set something else up. No big deal.
Will do.
Great.
Sounds good. Thanks so much,
Take care.
Ryan. Talk to you soon.
Cheers.